Today, Wall Street is in a good mood. The Dow rallied more than 200 points in early deals on Monday, while the S&P and Nasdaq were up 0.6% and 0.2% respectively, as news of additional support from US authorities offered some respite for the troubled banking sector. And guys, this is really big for Forex. I've got a whole video planned out for you, so stick around here. Big idea is basically US authorities are considering expanding an emergency credit line for banks to give the lender more time to strengthen its balance sheet. Talking about First Republic Bank, which of course has been scaring the markets a lot, causing the dollar to spike, etc. And this, my friends, is a very interesting time for the banking sector because it has a really big impact on two currencies that we're going to talk about today. Well, actually three: the dollar, the Japanese yen, and the euro. Now, real quick before I jump into the charts, one other thing that caught my eye here this morning was, of course, this little piece of information. Russia provoked outrage with its plan to station tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Saturday that a deal had been struck with his ally, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, I think that's right, to station tactical nukes on Belarusian territory. Scary stuff here, and may just be another freaky thing that the market has to keep on its back burner here. Let's take a look at the charts. What you're looking at right now is the Japanese yen currency, and it's the JXY if you guys want to pull this up. The Japanese yen has recently been trending to the upside, with banking fears sort of running like crazy all around the markets right now. Well, today we actually gapped down, and the markets, the stock market in particular, if we're taking a look at like indices like the NAS 100, they're up today, right? We continue to see bullishness here. What this seems to be is that Wall Street and market participants are basically thinking that the banking stuff is behind us, that things are not too scary. That's at least the latest. Now, you can also take a look at the dollar, which the dollar has been trending to the downside as, again, market participants seem to be basically thinking that the banking situation is going to paper over and there is going to be no significant banking crisis or, you know, World War III sort of like event in the banking world, similar to 2008. The market seems to not think that that is going to be the case, especially with, again, lines of credit being opened up to support the latest banking situations. Now, how does this impact the Forex market? For those of us who are trying to trade currency pairs, what should we be paying attention to? Well, in my opinion, we've got to take a deeper look at the positioning when it comes to that Japanese yen we talked about. Let's look at dollar yen, which has been in a pretty significant, we'll look at the 4-hour chart, pretty significant downward trend here, a beautiful downward trend. And the question is, should we be selling this market? And in my opinion, the answer is no. In fact, I actually think this market may be preparing for a big move to the upside. And I'm going to back this up in a second, guys. I'm going to show you some data that's really useful. But if we get a break to the upside, I'm actually willing to look for another attempt to go long dollar yen. Now, you guys may have known I've been pretty bullish on this pair recently. I've paused on that since the downward trend has continued recently. But yeah, I'm looking for a breakout to the upside. Another pair that's interesting to me is Euro JPY for a similar scenario. If we can see some sort of break to the upside, I actually like the idea of being bullish this pair. Now, currently, I'm not actually bullish, right? Chart's still bearish. But if we break out, I love this chart long, and let me show you why. If we pull up the smart money tracker on the Edge Finder, we're able to look at what institutional money is doing with particular assets. COT report data. If you guys have access to the Edge Finder, just head over to the Smart Money Tracker. Just click this page. It'll pull up what I'm looking at here. We got some very, very telling information on the latest COT report. Notably, the Japanese yen has taken the #1 spot in terms of most shorted assets by institutional traders. The Japanese yen, 91% short ratio from institutional non-commercial COT reported data. This is huge. Now, let's look at the other side of the equation, and we see a whopping 75% long interest on the euro, followed by a very heavy long interest on the US dollar. So when we compare these two currencies, there's no coincidence why I pulled up the dollar yen and the euro yen. Look at these. We're comparing the strongest heavily bought institutional trades, the dollar and the euro, and we're comparing them against things like the Japanese yen, which is the #1 short ratioed asset. Now again, this is all available within the Edge Finder, and if you guys don't have access to the Edge Finder, we do actually have a sale going on with the Edge Finder right now. If you click the link down below in the description and use the code YTVIP, you'll get access to the smart money tracker that I'm looking at, the retail sentiment indicator, our bank signals tab, our watch list, which includes signals for 30 plus assets, and our product is a one-time product purchase. So you don't have to spend a bunch of money over time. It's just a one-time purchase to get access to our software. And again, with all of this information right now, I'm very interested in potentially looking to get long these pairs, but we now need to talk about the technical analysis side of things. I'd like to see this thing pop to the upside and put in some higher highs, right? If you guys know me and you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I like to trade things that are trending. And again, I use a very simple format for trends. I'm looking for higher highs, higher lows, the same stuff that you've heard a million times. I'm looking for this to potentially form. Now again, here's euro yen, but also same thing for dollar yen. As we have that downward trend in place, if we start to get higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, if we're able to break out, absolutely interested in longing the dollar yen based off of the COT data that we have here showing institutional interest is pointed to the long side on some of these pairs. We could take a look now at the retail sentiment tab and see how things are going. You can see dollar yen is pretty 50-50, not too much interest, but feel free to pause the video if you'd like to look at the majors here. I'll also include, we'll do the minors. Actually, let's do commodities first. Let's add commodities, see what's going on with gold. Gold has a pretty heavy long ratio right now, so retail traders actually shifting towards the bullish side of the equation when looking at gold, whereas most, a minority are on the short side. Speaking of gold, let's pull up gold. You guys know, if you've been watching the channel, that I was long gold. I made some money on the way up here, was able to catch this little run up here, and have now since been out of the trade. I'm looking for a chance to potentially re-enter. I do personally like this level for a possible re-entry around 1935. And if I decide to take that trade, you guys will see it inside of Discord. But the basis here is overall a nice upward trend, but let's go beyond that. The watch list here has a +4 rating for the gold market. We score high in COT data. As you guys saw earlier, the COT shows institutional money is still very long. Gold seasonality, the month of March here looks pretty positive. In fact, let's go look at seasonality for gold and see where we're at with this. So if I go down to gold, so we'll click gold here, take a look at the seasonality report. You can see that the month of March is historically a positive month in the last 10 years for the price of gold, and the month of April seems to not even be there. Actually, it is there, it's just basically flat. So we don't get much bias at all during the month of April. So not too much to speak of in terms of seasonality. Things start to become more interesting in the beginning of the year, and August we get a positive push for gold, at least historically speaking, and we can pay attention to that perhaps when it's more upon us. But right now, like I said, I do sort of still like this idea of getting long gold, but I have to wait for a technical retest to a key level like something like 1935. So that's something I'm personally looking at, just going with the trend here. We've got a nice upward trend on the 4-hour and on the daily chart. We recently saw a price go as high as 2009, a really impressive run up. So a pullback would be of interest. Let's go back to the watch list and see if there's anything else that piques my interest. Now I mentioned, guys, the yen crosses, right? A couple of yen crosses that I'm interested in buying, euro yen, dollar yen. They're not on the bullish side of things yet. What will tip it to the bullish side? Well, I'll show you guys something. If we take a look at dollar yen, for example, we can see that the trend reading is still to the downside. We are avoiding this downward trend. I'm still bullish. You can see most things here printing bullish, right? You've got dollar yen, very COT-based data, as we talked about earlier. Very interested in the dollar over the Japanese yen. In terms of economic numbers, it's a bit mixed, but overall, we get a lot more blue than we get red, except for this trend to the upside. We only have a score of +1 right now, but if this trend starts moving to the upside and this switches sides, if we start seeing an upward trend form, like I said, I really like that dollar yen on the long side. So just waiting for this to print a signal before actually looking to get long. So yeah, if I do take that trade, like I said, you guys will see it inside of the Discord channel. And if you're not inside of the Discord, this is what it looks like. You can see we share all of the trades that we're taking, myself, Frank, and Ivan, with full explanations and breakdowns. If you have an interest in getting access to this, again, we also have that sale going on for the Discord as well. We're gonna have a link to a chat link where if you click that, it'll open up a prompt where you can have a conversation with one of our support reps. If you type the word free Discord and send it to them there, one of my staff, one of the support reps here at A1 Trading, will set you up in our Discord channel for free. Want to watch me trade live? We put together a playlist of all of my trades that I've recorded start to finish. If that would be helpful to you, then click here and check out our playlist full of videos where I take trades start to finish and show you how I do it.